What's going on, guys? This is Ranbir. This is the Ranbir Health and Fitness and Nutrition and Gains of All Kinds podcast. There's always something or another that's being added to the name of this podcast, and that's the way we like it. Because as our guest today, Mr. Mike Yanda himself says, whenever we wing it, we bring it. All right, so I like that. Mike, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Just enjoying a little. I'm abandoning my normal bourbon for a Jameson 12-year that was a gift for me when I graduated from law school from a good buddy of mine, and I've got maybe about 2 pours left in this bottle, so I'm having one of them here on the show.
Wow, I love it. How is that one?
Smooth as hell. It's very good.
I like it. So Mike and I met over the internet, and that was like, what was that, like 3 years ago?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, why don't you give a little background about who you are, what you do, some of the crazy things that you've accomplished, and then we'll talk a little bit about your health and fitness journey.
Yeah, sure. So I'm let's see. I like to think of myself as a recovering lawyer. And I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm a business owner. Nothing fancy like the gym you've got over there, but a couple online businesses. These days, I own a digital marketing agency and then a website called Laptop Empires. It's a company that I started in January with a business partner of mine, a buddy of mine from high school. Where we teach people how to build not a digital marketing agency like I do. I mean, we teach that too, but really we just teach people how to use digital marketing to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month, like as a side hustle. And that's been around for 6 months. We've had over 1,000 students. It's been very successful. But man, yeah, you're talking about my journey. It's been everywhere from, when I was in law school, starting my first side hustle, which was as an online fitness coach back when I had a six-pack, and, helping people grow in that into a big business, and then started helping people with digital marketing, Facebook ads, funnel systems, all this kind of stuff in particular, because of the success that I'd had. And then that turned into the digital marketing thing. And long story short, at one point I had a newborn baby boy. I had an agency. Well, it wasn't an agency back then. It was just me doing digital marketing. I had the online fitness business, and I was working full time as an attorney. And then I slowly started chopping all that down until it was just the kid in the agency. And now today I've got clients on 4 continents. I've got 14 people working for me. Last count.
Damn.
Yeah. We added a few this past week. And it's just fun, man. We hang out on the internet with people, helping them make money. And then I hang out, with my boys during the day, while I'm working. It's a good time. And that's pretty much it, man. That's kind of, the short version. I mean, that's still pretty long, but that's the short version.
Yeah, man, that's it's crazy because I've seen a lot of the progression that's happened over just since we've met, and I didn't even I feel like I didn't even. Were you already transitioned into online business when we had met? Were you still being a full-time attorney?
When you and I met, I was working for an oil company as an attorney, and I had the fitness business still. I had not gotten rid of it, and maybe I had gotten rid of the fitness business. I can't remember, but I had the digital marketing stuff before I started building a team. And it's always kind of funny. I always tell people, I had this overnight success story. And I had my fitness clients I was making money from. I had my career I was earning money from. I had a handful of digital marketing clients. And I had this client that I was helping kind of pro bono in this group we're both a part of. And
Yep.
I helped him. We spent $40 in about 48 hours. And it led to about $2,500 in sales for him in that period. And
Damn.
and he was over in the UK. And so I went to bed one night. I got up.
Was that Jason?
No. This was geez, now you put me on the spot. Geez, why can I not think of his name? Stephen Finlayson over in the UK. And he posted, I went to bed and, he was 6 hours ahead. So when he posted in this group, he's like, hey, I got these results with Mike. Just want to give him a big shout out. And I woke up the next morning and my inbox was flooded.
Yep.
And so I had calls with about 6 different people from 6 a.m. until about noon that day about me helping people. And you were one of them.
Yep.
And and 5 of those 6 people ended up being clients of mine. And I've still got, obviously you and I have become good friends and have kept in touch even after we stopped working together. And I've actually still got one of those guys that still works with me to this day. And 3 years later. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I just like overnight was making, got this big influx of clients and influx of cash. Like it was that first time really, even though I'd been making good money online, it was the first time that I was like, holy shit, this is going to be life-changing,
Yeah.
And then I got down to work with y'all, but yeah, that was hard to believe that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, man, it's great. Like it reminds me of that quote. Like we overestimate what we can do. What is it? Like we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we overestimate what we can accomplish in like 5. I don't know, something along those lines. But it's my point being like it's crazy how much change you kind of created for yourself and your family in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and that was just like helping one person, that led to all that. And it's honestly, it's still one of my favorite stories. It's a cool story to share with my students who are trying to help and they're learning to do this, about how you can really change your life overnight just by helping somebody. But it's only gotten crazier since.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned the thing about you guys spent $40 in 48 hours and it resulted in $2,500. And the stuff, there's similar things that have happened that I know about personally. Similar stories like that. Like how much did we spend on the fitness? We'll come back to the fitness for Quidditch, but just for now, like how much money did we spend and then the result that we got?
I don't remember, man.
I don't think it was a lot, but we ended up with like 3,000 people worldwide in that who ended up liking that page.
For the Fitness for Quidditch page?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But like when you start getting Harry Potter involved with anything, it's just, raving fandom definitely takes over. It was pretty crazy. We were getting people from all over the world joining that group and that community, and it was really kind of cool. I didn't realize that it was such a thing, like I like Harry Potter. I've read all the books, I bought all the movies recently for my son, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna watch them. I'm not gonna wait till he's old enough to watch them. And so I'm a fan. But I remember, being on campus at A&M, and I would see these kids running around broomsticks in between their legs. I'm like, what are these nerds
What is going
doing?
on?
Like, go get a beer, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So it was that was such a fun project. And, actually the screenshot of that ad is in my course. It's part of me teaching the copy. And so when you came on, so when you came on to do a training with our community, everybody was like, oh, that's the Fitness for Quidditch guy.
Yeah, dude. And it was I mean, we'll come for anybody who doesn't know, Quidditch is the sport that they play in Harry Potter.
Don't act like you don't know, people.
Exactly. And it's actually a real sport, and it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And so we created a training program for people who play Quidditch, but we'll come back to that. But kind of like the direction that I was going with that was like, oh, and by the way, so you also did a similar thing. You guys spent, like, after you had launched the course earlier this year, you did like retargeting.
Oh yeah, dude. For my launch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. We actually, going into our second launch, we always kind of have like when you're launching a product or a course or something, it's very stressful. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And for whatever reason, we've just kind of had these theme songs every time we have a product launch. And so going into the second one, it was Drake back to back, because we had a 6-figure sales launch the first time, and we're like, can we do it twice? And we did. But the first one, we really crushed it, and we were doing okay. Like, and then the last day, I was like, man, we should run some Facebook ads. And my partner's like, yeah, why didn't we do that? And I was like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's only what I do for a living. Like, why didn't we do it? And so I, took some time, threw something up. I mean, it is like Sunday afternoon, and cart closes on Sunday at midnight. And we spent $75 on ads, and it resulted in $35,000 in sales. It was insane.
Absurd.
Yeah, just like crazy. I like the big numbers, like it was a little crazy. It's been fun. Like that word about that has kind of gotten out in different circles in the internet marketing world. And, it's kind of become a thing. Like, people are, well, what'd you do? And man, part of it was luck, but it was a very cool to get that kind of ROI, that kind of like, put $1 in the machine and have $10 come out, except way more extreme than that.
Way more.
Was pretty cool.
And so I love the analogies of like weight training, and then all these other things, relationships, business.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I would say it's not. Of course, there's a certain amount of luck, but I mean, I think it's because you're, number one, you know what you're doing, but number two, you show up and you actually do it, because, like, you helping that guy back in the day, that happened to be a day that I popped into that group, and I was like, oh shit, like, I'm gonna send him a message.
Yeah.
And then just being good at it and knowing the right stuff to do, you don't just, we both know all the people, there's plenty of people who have spent tons of money on Facebook and they've gotten 0 results.
Right.
So it's definitely, the skill comes into it for sure.
But I think what you're getting at is like, business and fitness are very similar in that it's not about these big moves. It's not about this great idea. You don't have to invent the pet rock. You don't have to, be Elon Musk or anything like that. You just have to show up every day and be consistent and put in the work. It's amazing. Like, I've been in the service-based business where it's about getting people results and your reputation and just, grow in that way. But then my business partner, he's a blogger, and he's a personal finance blogger, and people, he's got 250,000 people visiting his website. Different people, like unique people, visiting his website every month, and he's only been doing this for 3 years. But twice a week, he's putting up a piece of content. He's talking to his followers. He's showing up. He's helping them. And it's just grown and grown and grown in popularity. And he just does these little things every day. And to the point now where, he's making incredible money. And it's because, he put the work in,
Yep.
And that's just like, business is just like fitness in the sense that like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like there's already a blueprint. You just have to
Yep.
follow the blueprint, and then you've got to show up every day, even the days that you really don't feel like doing it.
Yep. Especially those days.
Oh, 100%.
And first of all, shout out Bobby if you guys
Yeah.
Millennial Money Man
Yep.
is the website or the blog that you got to go check out.
MillennialMoneyman.com.
Lots of great information there. But yeah, dude, the parallels are pretty interesting, and like the other thing that brings to mind is like you said, is the blueprint has been figured out already, and all you got to do is show up and put in the work and be patient, and it'll happen. And doing the right stuff too. So like,
yeah, oh, that's big.
As me personally, as in my training, I don't want to do all kinds of shit. And when I could do, A, B, and C,
yeah,
and I could get 80-90% of the results versus, somebody who's trying to throw everything possible and the kitchen sink,
yeah,
and they get no results. It's like there's basic fundamentals that will get you all the results that you could want.
yep.
And I fall prey for this in business. It's like we all want the shiny new thing.
Yep. And it's easy to like try and constantly add new things to your arsenal. And that's the worst thing you can do.
The worst.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell a little bit about your own personal health and fitness journey? And it's very unique because you said you never played any sports or anything growing up, or you weren't really active?
I kind of really quickly though, before I get into that, I want to touch on what you said about like focusing on the important things, because you're talking about the 80-20 principle when it comes to your workouts. Like if I do the 20%, I'm going to get 80% of the results. If that's the case, why would I do, all of it? Like why would
Yep.
you, there's that diminishing return. Um, I'm rereading one of my favorite business books, which is Work Less, Make More by James Schramko. And he talks about the 64-4 principle, which is the 80-20 principle applied to the 80-20 principle. So 20% of the 20% is 4%, and 80%
Yep.
of the 80% is 64%. And it's a pretty amazing concept when you think about it. Like, let's be real. Like, we're all lazy by nature. Like, whether it's fitness, business, work, whatever, your inclination is to rest. It's to chill. It's to take the path of least resistance. That's like our body. We're wired to be that way. And so when you can do the least amount possible, the lazier you can be, like the better off you're going to be, because you're going to be more likely to do the things that consistently that are going to get you results. And so
Yep.
you can actually get really great results in business, fitness, anything else in life that you want to learn by being as lazy as possible and only doing the really important stuff. And, the 4% that's going to get you 64% of the results. Something that I, was looking at was like, if let's say you're a business owner or you're whatever, let's say you write, like say you're a fit pro and you have a blog, if you write for 50 minutes every day, if you have a side hustle and you work on it for 50 minutes every day, that's an extra 25 hours over the course of the month, right? That's a lot. And in fitness, you don't even have to do 50 minutes a day. You can do 30 minutes 3 days a week. So anyway, when you brought that up about the kind of, focusing on the biggest, highest priority stuff, like it's really important. Everything you do in life, like I've had to really, really learn this, especially as a business owner. Like you got to look at everything you got to do, and then you've got to prioritize it, and then you got to get rid of about half of it and only do the really important shit.
Yep. Dude, that is, it's it's all these quote unquote unsexy things
Yeah.
that, or not even all these, I would say it's like a handful of unsexy principles that apply to all areas of life. Like I was talking to this guy. So before Mike and I got on the call, I was meeting with a new client who is a musician, and we were talking about the similarities of, I was like, so how, what does it take to become good at the saxophone? Because he plays the saxophone. He's like, if you spent 15 minutes a day, by the end of the year, people would be like thinking you've been playing for your entire life and you're some prodigy or something like that.
Right.
And so, we underestimate how powerful just that consistency of the right things really is. Which leads me to my next question, which is, somebody who's trying to figure out, well, hey, okay, guys, like that sounds amazing. Do the right things consistently, and it will, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. What are the keys to figuring out, like, hey, what are those right things? Like, how do I figure that out?
To me, it's you go hire somebody that can tell you what to do. Like, I think that's the easiest way. It's the fastest way, right? But if not, you can go do research. You can learn about it. I kind of, on my journey, I've kind of taken the path of spending the time doing research, figuring it out myself to get results. And now, as I've gotten busier with business and the family, and as that's happened, as I've earned more money, I've started to try and buy my time back. And I've spent money to hire people like yourself to guide me and to teach me and to help me go in the right direction. And I've done that in business. I've done that in fitness. Like right now, I've got, somebody that is guiding me and coaching me in business, right? It's a mentor, it's a guide that's helping me get to the next level. I've got you helping me with the health and fitness stuff. And I recently hired a guitar teacher to teach me how to use this guitar that has been in my house since I was in high school. So I'm a big believer in coaching and having somebody guide you. But if you don't have that, you have the interwebs. Like you have Google. You've got the most powerful, search, or information gathering thing in the history of the world. So you can find it. The trick is sorting through that information. At the end of the day, here's what's great. Whether it's business or it's fitness, there's no real right answer, right? Unless you're following somebody that's totally hokey. But like even in the fitness world, even some of the really hokey bullshit diet type stuff, it works because it follows the basic principles. Progressive overload, caloric deficit. Like it doesn't matter. Like, you might hate keto. You might hate lean, I don't know, what's the
Paleos.
Weight Watchers, what's the one that Oprah, loses weight and then gets fat again on every year? Weight Watchers, right? Like it doesn't matter like what calorie counting, whatever. Like there's so many different options, but at the end of the day, they all do the same thing. They reduce your calories. And so it almost doesn't even matter who you follow or whose plan you follow, what you listen to. You just pick one you like and you do it. And it's going to work, and then you'll figure it out more as you go. Like you'll, if you're doing something unnecessary, as you get into it, as you start to learn more about it, as you meet people at the gym, or you start to do your research, you'll start to find the truth. And so even if you start off on the wrong path, it's going to get you started. It's going to get you results, but then eventually you're going to find the real stuff.
Yep. And I think that's huge for people is like, yes, if the fastest way to do something is to find a coach who number one, that and you like, and that you feel that you can trust, and they can get you there in the shortest amount of time. Because if it's a good coach, they've been through it themselves, they've helped other people through it, and they can do this. They can cut your learning curve down dramatically as well.
100%.
But you know, and I think in many industries, in many fields, you know, health and business, since we're heavily involved in those, everyone's always talking about you need to hire a coach, you need to hire a coach, and I agree with that 100%. But there's the legitimate, you know, there's people who legitimately,
You
you
shouldn't
know,
hire.
well, yeah, and yeah, there's people who you shouldn't hire for sure, and then there's people who just they don't have the money or whatever the situation is. But you got to understand that the trade-off is like it's work to find
It's
the right answers,
it's
but you can
time.
find them.
It's time versus money. I
Yeah,
never had invested in anything like that until fairly recently, when I had kind of the money to do it. You know, I got in shape by myself the first time, doing it myself, figuring it out, just doing research online. You know, I built a business by myself, figuring it out. I was almost ignorant coming in, like, oh, I can do this. Like, oh, okay, I've gotten in shape. I'm helping people locally, you know, get in shape. They've just been asking me. And I was like, I can make some money to help pay off my student loans, which was really ignorant. Like, but I did it. I went out and I started doing it. And, you know, I was doing these coaching programs with 50 to 100 plus people in a single program for like a 12-week program. Um, you know, like, you can go figure it out. It's going to take time, but that's the thing. You can, you know, you can spend time to learn and to get result, and it might take longer doing it yourself, or you can spend time to make money, or then down the road you can spend money to get time back, or spend money to get a
yep,
result quicker. You know, that goes with the
yep,
business stuff too. Like, you know, when it's in fitness, like, you're not spending money to like lose weight faster. You're spending money to have somebody give you a plan and hold you accountable, so that you're more consistent in doing the right things to get the result faster, because you're not screwing it up, right? And in business, though, you might actually like pay somebody to come do something for you and save you time, and it does speed it up. But it's that same kind of principle. But the thing is, with fitness at least, like, everybody and their mom knows enough information to go get results. You can be totally wrong. Like, you can go out there and you can think like carbs are evil, for example. Like you can't eat carbs. Well, like, that's not actually true. But if you believe that and you just decide that you're going to cut carbs out of your diet, you're probably going to lose weight.
you're gonna. Hey, you know what? The first time quick background. Like I was an athlete my whole life. I use that term loosely. I could just shoot really well, so I ended up playing high school and college basketball, but never looked like an athlete, never had abs. The first time I got abs, I was like, cut out carbs. And I was like, for probably a year or so, I was like, hey, don't eat carbs if you want abs. And it worked. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but you're right. So let's tell me a little bit about that first experience for you personally in terms of the results that you got. Where were you? And by the way, just so everybody knows, um, Mike knows his shit when it comes to health and fitness. I've I've had the pleasure of looking at his material that he used to send out to all his clients who he was coaching in those programs, and you knew your shit,
Mm-hmm.
which which actually brings up another point. So depending on where you are in your life, like if you're were you uh were you married at that time? You were
Yeah,
just in
I
school, right?
was so my story kind of goes, I was always this short, scrawny little white kid. So I didn't know how to play basketball, man. I'm, you know, short white kid. You know, basketball was not in my scope at all. And but I went to college. I went to Texas A&M, and was a part of the core, which A&M, if you don't know, they've got this 2,500 member cadet corps. It's like a military academy inside of A&M, because A&M started as a military academy and then grew into the, you know, one of the largest universities in the country that it is today. But they produce the most officers in the country outside of the military academies. And so I went into college thinking I was going to go into the military, and that didn't work out. Unfortunately, like that was what I always wanted to do. But when I was there, you live it. Like we had these dorms that we lived in on campus, and it was called the Quad. It was this area that was just the poor. And so I was getting up at 5:30 every morning to go do PT, and then I'd be back showered, you know, into, breakfast and be at my 8 a.m., right? Like, and I'd already had a full day, and then we'd come back and we'd have PT in the afternoon. And so, I was constantly running, working out, doing all kinds of stuff, and eating whatever I wanted. And then when I
Yeah.
graduated, I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. I didn't change my habits, but I stopped. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wake up at 5:30 and run for 3 miles every morning anymore. And so obviously that had a big impact on my waistline. So after I got married, I went right into law school. My wife and I got married. We went on our honeymoon, and the week we got back from our honeymoon, had a weekend, and I started law school.
Yep.
And I started to get pretty heavy for me, for my frame. Um, and yeah, so about partway through well, early on, it was like the first couple, very beginning of my first year of law school, which is 3 years. I was like, I gotta do something about this. So I started weightlifting, not because I thought it was like a great way to lose weight, but because I was like, I don't want to run, but I need to exercise. So I'm gonna go try
Yeah.
weightlifting. And I was dieting just kind of however I thought, and was learning more and more. And I went through this huge kind of like transformation. So by the time that I started my second year, I had a six pack. I went from this like, big beer gut to like six pack, and was in really great shape. And my face was so much thinner, and had to buy all new clothes, all that. And then I started helping other law students, attorneys, judges, business owners in the area. Like I really started helping a bunch of different people locally. And that was when I kind of realized, oh, like I could make some money doing this. And I did that for a long time, all the way through graduation. I was still running that side hustle business when I was studying for the bar exam, took the bar exam, even when I was practicing as an attorney. And then when I shut it down, I kind of slacked off. I'd had an injury. I'd had a hip injury that kept me out of the gym. And then I just kind of, I wouldn't say without realizing it, as I started to focus more, I had more things going on. I started building the agency. I made a conscious decision to kind of like cut everything out of my life except for building my business at one point.
Yep.
And I really did. I stopped watching TV. I cut out like anything. I stopped reading books. I'm a big reader. I'm not a big game person, but I wasn't playing games or anything. And all I was doing every spare moment I had was working on my business. And I built it up and I built it up and I built it up. And it wasn't really until this year that I was like, okay, now I've built this business. I've built my team. I've got all this support. I can start having more free time. I need to start focusing on my health. I need a hobby,
Yeah.
and I've started to focus on those things. Now, even since then, obviously, you've given me great support and a great program and everything, but I haven't really quite gotten to it yet. Like I haven't really gotten back into it, and it's one of those things like, I talked earlier about how like knowledge is not necessary to get
No.
results. And I'm a good example of that right now. I have all of the knowledge. I've helped over, thousands of people with their health and fitness. And yet I'm sitting here, I'm as heavy as I've ever been because I let myself get here. And it's been a journey, and it's been a little bit of a struggle the last few months to kind of get back at it for various reasons. But the biggest one just being that I haven't been as committed to it, right?
Yep.
And so I've just kind of had you on retainer trying to help me get there inch by inch. And like is a good example. I was telling you today, this is the first time in this whole year that I've tracked my calories and stuff on my phone. I think that's a big step for
It's
me.
huge. Yep.
But I think the biggest thing when it comes to accomplishing anything, building a business, getting in shape, whatever it is, you have to be 100% all in, committed. And it goes back to that thing, we always take the path of least resistance, that we always look for,
A way
the
out.
easy way
Yeah.
out. Yeah, and if you are even, you can be 98% committed to a goal, and that 2% will tear you
Yep.
down, because that 2% is that thought that's in your head when that pulls you off course, and I've said, I've had conversations about, like, dude, like, I know I need to do this, but I'm not there yet. I'm not, like, mentally there
Yeah.
yet. And what I was saying was, like, I know this is what I need to do. It's what I want to do, but I don't 100% want it yet. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is, like, for a lot of people, like, you have to want it. I remember the first time when I was getting in shape, that was my life.
Yep.
Like, that was everything at that time. I was working out whenever I could. I was eating right. I was very strict. Like, I was all in, right? And then I got to be less, more flexible in how I did things as I learned and as I became more disciplined with it. But that hasn't been something that I've had lately, because I've had other things that I've put over my health, mainly the
Yeah.
business, you know. And so so that's kind of like my whole journey, is it's been this kind of, like, in shape, out of shape, really in shape, helping other people to getting in shape, out of shape again, and now I'm trying to find my way back.
Well, I think this is very valuable for people, because we look at, and again, you can look at people's businesses or what they put up on Instagram or Facebook as their businesses. You look at people's bodies on Instagram or whatever, and you get this,
Right.
they paint this picture, or you paint this picture in your head that, man, they just got their shit together. And actually, I'm working on um, some content right now about all these meal preps things that you see, right? And, like, they
Mm-hmm.
have their week's food all laid out and it looks fucking amazing, right? And it's like, you think to yourself, like, well, fuck, I'm never going to be able to do that. And so you just kind of, beat yourself up, or you give up, or you never even try, because there's
Right.
this image of what, you think is, like, this person is just easy for them or whatever it is. And I think it's very valuable to know that behind the scenes, I mean, you're very upfront about it, and which is helpful, because I think having that transparency helps more people. It's like, no, it's not easy all the time. And yes, there is back and forth, and
Yeah.
that at the end, but the thing that I really, really admire is that you don't, like, beat yourself up about it, and you're
Well, I do.
you
I mean, sometimes I
you
do. Like, nobody's harder on me than me.
you
But and
do,
I
but the thing is, like, you're still trying, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like,
I
you're
don't.
still
I,
moving in a direction, like
yeah, for sure.
hiring.
And it's baby
Yeah.
steps. Like, it's always baby steps. Yeah.
And I think that's important, because most people will say, they'll look at that, they'll be like, well, damn, they'll feel bad about it, they'll feel bad about themselves, and then they'll just resort to, like, well, this is just how I am, like, or this is genetics, or this is that. So,
Yeah.
I think
Well, let me shed some light for everybody that's listening, because I have worked with a lot of fitness professionals and Insta models, or whatever you want to call them, like, all the beautiful people online that seem to have their shit together. That is, I've worked with a ton of those type of businesses, and the stuff that you see on Instagram, the stuff that you see on Facebook, the stuff that you see on Twitter, whatever, is not how those people are. They're not being honest. They're not being transparent. And it's one of those things, like, I've always, one of the things I love about working with my business partner is that, like, we just give the real shit.
yep.
Like, we just show it how it is. Like, I will I will record a podcast or a video while I'm changing a diaper. I don't give a shit. Like that's my life. That's how I build my business, But with these fitness people, they have these same struggles that you do.
Yep.
Right? They have days where they don't want to go to the gym. They have days where they don't go to the gym. They have days where they don't want to eat right. They don't, man, some of the worst health habits that I've seen have been from successful fit pros,
Yep.
whether it's doing all kinds of drugs, drinking way too much alcohol, eating crazy shit that they shouldn't eat, but they've just reached a point of being so fit that they can kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
but they struggle too, and they don't show you that.
Nope.
They don't show you that, like, okay, I had something happen, I had a bad day, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go just demolish a bowl of ice cream. Like, they do that too.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not alone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so whenever you see that stuff, they're showing you the perfect lighting. They spent 20 minutes fixing that Instagram photo. They're showing you the super prepped meal, or they're showing you this outrageously great looking cheat meal, and they're framing it as like part of their program, when that's just how they're justifying it. Like they deal with the same shit that you do, in the same headspace, the same problems. They've just managed to figure out how to get it right 6 days a week.
Yep.
Or 80% of the time, or whatever it is. Like they just know, okay, I messed up today, I'm just going to go back to doing it normal tomorrow. And they've chained enough days together that they look good.
They have a bigger base. Like, that's the one thing. So I think you hit on a really important point, is like, don't compare yourself to, I mean, we hear this stuff all the time, but again, don't compare yourself to somebody else's Instagram or YouTube or whatever, because you have no clue what is going on and how they got there, or whether,
right.
There's some people who, like, I have friends, I used to hate this. I would spend all year round working out when I was playing ball. I would show up. I would be first in all the drills, all the sprints, all the conditioning. And I had guys who've been sitting out for an entire year playing video games, eating McDonald's. Like, they're just as fast as me, if not faster. And I have no control over that. So, like, genetics is a real thing. We shouldn't blame it for our lack of where we want to be. But it plays a part. And then another thing is, like, a lot of people do extra stuff that they may not be sharing, like enhancements, right?
Yeah.
So
very true.
You can't compare yourself to that. But yeah, I think that's super helpful to hear that, because that trips up a lot of people. Now, so you got a couple different businesses going that we know about. You got two kids, you got a wife, you got all kinds of stuff going on. What is some of your recommendations for people who are struggling with, like, those types of, I don't even, they're excuses, but I think it's just sometimes it's a lack of awareness of what's actually possible, and how to put it together. So, like, what's some things that, you would suggest to them?
Well, I think the first thing, something that I've realized, when, for example, when I was in law school, like, I consumed my life, and I was building a business while I was in law school. And then, having times where I was working as an attorney and had a business and had a kid, there was always a bunch. But what I always found is that the times that I was busiest were the times that I got the most done and that I made the most progress. Because when you don't have time to fuck around, you don't.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the biggest things that you see with people, like, trying to get in shape, what have you, is I don't have time for this. Like, I just can't figure out the time to make it to the gym or to cook a healthy meal or whatever it may be. And the reality is you've got to figure it out. You've got to get rid of something. You've got to cut something. You know, I talked about earlier when I was really trying to grow my business and build the team and make it a real agency that could work and grow and make money without me being there. I really sacrificed everything. Like, I sacrificed my health, my hobbies, TV. Like, I gave everything up. And that was very extreme, but I knew I wanted to achieve a certain thing for my family, and I did. And it's allowed me now to, like, we can go, my wife and I, we can go travel the world. We can go on the trips we want. We can buy our dream home or build our dream home or whatever it may be. Like, you know, she could quit her job today if she wanted, but she loves her job, so she doesn't have to. And that was my goal, was like, by the time I'm 30, I want to just like have it, right? And so I worked really, really hard on that for a couple of years. But it can be that way with anything. You don't have to be that extreme though, but like you can cut back. Like, you know, I'm now trying to like have more life balance and do more things. But like, you know, right now I'm sitting here hanging out with you. But if not, I probably would have watched an episode or two or three of that 70s show or something. Like, that's what I've been watching lately, you know? And so instead of watching a third episode of that 70s show on Netflix, spend 30 minutes working out and then watch two episodes. Like, it's that simple. Like, you just got to cut something, and you need to be deliberate about it. Like, you have to like consciously make a decision that you're going to do this thing, and then what you're going to replace it with, right? So
Yeah.
especially with the work, at least with the working out, like with the workouts, it's easy. You got to schedule it, or you got to replace it. You got to remove the time somewhere, and you just have to say, like, I'm going to get rid of this, I'm going to do it here. And you just gotta like, it's the worst advice, but just gotta go do it.
Yep.
And with the nutrition, it's the same kind of thing, but it's just getting into that habit of what you're going to do, and then eliminating. I think with the food, it's more about eliminating temptations, right?
Yep.
So I know that there's certain things that if they're in the house, that I won't be able to resist them. So I get rid of them. I throw them away. I get them out of the house before I start a diet. I also know there are certain situations, there are certain things that can happen in my life, in my day-to-day life. There are certain things that, you know, can come up that put me in a bad mental state, and where I will then go eat, you know? And so there's learning and like self-reflecting and recognizing like these are the things, and then eliminating those things, or doing your best to eliminate those things. So I think that's really the big one, is like, if you want to do this and you're going to commit to working out, whatever, you've got to figure out like, what of my time from when I get home from work till I go to bed, or before I go to work, you know, are you going to wake up earlier and go work out, or it's going to do something between work and going to bed? Like, during that space and time, what are you going to remove? You know, and then the other thing is, like, if there's anyone else that's involved in this, you need to get them on board, you know? So like, for workouts is a good example. Like, I'm married, getting my wife on board, like, hey, I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. When you get home from work, I need you to watch the kids so I can go work out, right? And getting her on board for that, and being like, maybe I'm going to watch the kids so you can go shopping or whatever.
Yep.
Like, and having some sort of exchange there. That's going to help hold you accountable, right?
Yep.
Another thing, like, because I think I've seen this a lot. I used to work with a lot of parents. You know, like, I don't have time, or I've got the kids or whatever. Like, when you have kids, especially now, I've only been a dad for a couple of years, right? My oldest is 3, but like, they consume your life, you know, like
shout out Cooper.
Yeah, Coop man. So they like consume your life. And so for me, there are things that I used to not like doing that I like doing now. Like, I used to not like mowing the lawn. Like, I was always like, man, the minute I can hire somebody to mow my lawn, I'm going to do that. Now I'm like, man, that's an hour or two that I can put my headphones in and have no kids.
Yeah.
And I can listen to sports radio and I can chill. I can unplug, no work, no kids, no nothing, just chill. So I like that time. Well, that your workout can be that for you as well.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
can be that time to unplug and to kind of get away. And I think that's helpful. So there's a lot there, you know, but you really have to know, like, one, you've got to be committed to it. Like, I actually want to do this. Like, you have to fully want it.
Yeah.
But then it's just that eliminate the temptations on the nutrition end and figure out what time consuming thing you're going to eliminate or replace with the workout.
I think that's beautiful advice, and it kind of brings it back to the beginning of like knowing the simple things that actually work. And one of the, I think this is a huge thing, is like, one, decide that you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, like you said, like that seems like such a silly piece of advice, but if you really sit down and just like let yourself kind of think about that, like, I'm making a decision to do this and other people have done it, I can do it too. And then, you know, like you said, you got to figure out what things you are going to sacrifice, because everything has a cost.
For sure.
And you just got to decide which things you want, and then are you willing to pay the cost? Because without, nothing is free.
Yeah.
You just got to decide which things you want to pay and when and how. So, you know, you can spend your time complaining or thinking you have excuses, but you're watching TV or on Instagram, but there's no cost in the moment, but there'll be a cost down the road, you know, in all kinds of ways. Or you can pay the cost now of, okay, I'm going to sacrifice Instagram and whatever show people are watching on Netflix right now, maybe 13 Reasons Why, I don't know. But, you know, you pay that cost now and you'll get something pretty amazing down the road. So it's the beautiful thing, I think, is it's all up in your hands. So
yeah,
you get to make that decision.
And here's something else I would say too. Like, it's okay if you're not ready yet. And I don't think a lot of people say that, but I've experienced that with myself, and I think it's been better because I've been able to, even if I haven't been maybe losing the weight and getting into shape the way I want to, I've been able to at least maintain, right? And
Yep.
I've been happy because I'm not beating myself up constantly for not doing this thing that I said I was going to do. And I, you know, having gone from the full spectrum now and having the knowledge of this and like helping other people that I do, I think I'm a little more self-aware about like what's going on internally and what I'm dealing with and that kind of stuff. But if you probably know you need to do something, right?
Yep.
But that if you're not ready to jump all in, if you're not ready to make a drastic commitment, a drastic change, then don't pick something smaller, you know? And it's okay to like go, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this amount of work till this point, and then I'm gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna maintain, and then I'm gonna get back at it. So you might just to start be like, you know, what is it? It's like August 13th. So you might just say, hey, it's Monday. I've got 3 weeks left in the month. I'm going to diet for the next 3 weeks. And then the first week of September, I'm going to maintain. But like, if I have a little dessert or I go out to eat with the family, it's going to be okay. And then I'm going to get back at it. Right. And then I'm going to go 4 weeks. Like, you know, don't be afraid to like, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful line. It's okay if you're not ready. Awesome, dude. Where can people get in touch with you, learn, follow? There's lots of knowledge this man brings to the table. Where should they go?
Well, the easiest thing right now, since my website, MikeYanda.com, isn't up yet. And that'll be mostly about business stuff, but that'll be when it launches, will be a lot about just like personal stuff too. I'll be really sharing like growing a business while raising kids, trying to get in shape as a business owner, like these different kind of things that I deal with and share with other people. But for right now, you can go to laptopempires.com. We've got this awesome hip hop teddy bear logo. It's pretty ridiculous because, you know, we like to have fun. And on there, you know, we talk about business. We talk about how to start a side hustle, how to start making money online, in only a couple hours a week. And that's not bullshit. That's real shit.
It's real stuff.
That's real shit. We've had over 1,000 students go through our courses since we launched, and we've got students that have left jobs they hate. You know, so we've got multiple students that have started making over $5,000 a month from clients, and are doing great. And so anyway, you can check it out there, laptopempires.com. We've got a podcast with Bobby, another one of Ranbir students, and it's a lot of fun. We just talk business, life. We're usually drinking wine or bourbon, and it's a good time, much like this was.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, that definitely go check out those places. And just a bonus tip, those of you guys who, you know, either you don't have enough time or enough money, hey, side hustles, all right? And these are the guys to learn from, all right? So, dude, thanks a lot. I appreciate it big time coming on here.
Anytime. It was fun.
Awesome. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll be back here next week.
Peace.
Later.